want the microphone. Morning. I just want the microphone. Morning. Take the mask off your face. Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Good morning, viewers. Good morning. It's Wednesday, the 7th of September, and I would like to welcome all our viewers to the Tobago Updates morning show, coming to you live from the Port Mall in Scarborough. I am Luke Trim, and I would just like to express how excited I am to be your youth host today. It's Youth Wednesdays, and you know how we just dub it on a Wednesday.
All right, good morning and welcome, guys. Good morning. I'm your co-host for this morning, your favorite youth host, Dwayne Nurse. Yes, totally in a different place, but not so far from you guys. And again, I want to welcome Mr. Trim to the Youth Wednesday family, to the Tobago Updates family. It's a pleasure to have another young man in this space for a long time. Those girls were teaming up on me, Johnny and Miss Hola. Now we have it squared off, you know. So it's a pleasure to have you, Mr. Trim, this morning, and I'm very much looking forward to working with you. And I know that the Tobago Updates ardent viewers will definitely give you the support, give you the shout outs, and the whole Tobago Updates love.
Lovely. So, Dwayne, the children went back to school yesterday, and I don't know if you could remember your first day back to school. I remember it like it was yesterday. My pants was baggy, the shirt was oversized, my bag was heavy. Do you remember your first day back to school?
I believe I also remember my first day to preschool. I remember some of my preschool days. And I think preschool for me was one of my favorite days because I was very much pampered. I was one of the top students. I was one of the favorite students, and it was just lovely, just a lovely experience. Not doing so much schoolwork, singing all the nursery rhymes and so on. And I did remember my first day in primary school. I cried. I don't know why. I guess it's because I miss my daddy, because he dropped me to school, and I remembered all my other first days subsequently after that. And school is nice. I mean, I love the school. I used to cry to go to school. So yes, those students, those preschoolers, those primary schoolers, those high schoolers would have gone out to school yesterday, and it was a very big turnout for me based on the pictures that I would have seen. Crossing and surfing the different social media platforms. So that's a big thing. And also I know CXC results came out, CSEC results, that is.
I know a lot of students with a sigh of relief.
Yeah, and I know some might not be so encouraged and so smiling this month, but I want to encourage them to not give up. CSEC is not the end of it, and congratulations to all those who would have made themselves and their families proud. We want to encourage and impress upon you to keep on keeping on, and all the best.
Right, lovely, Dwayne. Now we will head on over to news in 90 seconds with Candice Jackson.
All right, thank you, Dwayne and Luke. My name is Candice Jackson, and here is your news in 90 seconds for Wednesday, 7th August 2022. Minority Leader Calvin Morris called Secretary of Education, Research and Technology, Sarisha Hackett, incompetent for failing to ensure all schools were ready for Monday's reopening. Speaking on the Minority Report, Morris claimed that most schools other than Scarborough Secondary and Speyside High School had infrastructural problems that prevented classes from occurring. He said that the PDP-led administration promised on Mandate Monday that all schools would be ready. However, they failed to put the necessary procurement policies in place to begin their repair works earlier as promised. Meanwhile, traffic is restricted to a single lane along the Windward Road in Bell Garden near Doctor's Mechanical Garage. The restrictions became necessary after a portion of the retaining wall in the area failed, threatening safety on the roadway. The Division of Infrastructure, Quarries and Urban Developments dispatched a crew to repair the retaining wall. However, barring adverse weather conditions, the rehabilitation work is expected to be completed within 3 weeks. As a result, motorists are warned to exercise extreme caution and expect delays when traversing the Windward Road through Bell Garden. And nationally, former Commissioner of Police Gary Griffith will have the chance to respond to the report on the firearm user's license before the Prime Minister lays it in Parliament. The Office of the Attorney General yesterday wrote to Griffith's attorney, informing him of the latest decision. According to the AG, Griffith and all others mentioned in the report will have the same opportunity to respond. This decision came after Griffith's attorney threatened legal action if the report was laid in Parliament before their client was given a chance to comment. The FUL audit report includes a summary of an investigation into the issuance of firearm user's license at the Police Service Department. And that was your news in 90 seconds. It is back to you, Luke and Dwayne.
Thank you very much, Candice, for that flawless delivery. So, Dwayne, a little birdie told me that we have a few birthdays today. Is that correct? On. Dwayne, we are not hearing
my apologies, I was muted. My apologies. So yes, we have a whole lot of birthdays, not just a little bit, not just a few. We have a whole lot of birthdays today, yes. Right? So first we have Lenora Whiteman. A happy birthday goes out to you, Miss Lenora, and love and special greeting from the Tobago Updates family.
And who do we have next? We have Allman Gordon Holder. A happy birthday to you, Miss Holder.
All right. And next we have Carla or Charla Ramsey Roberts. A happy birthday goes out to you.
Next we have Melanie Morton, aka DJ Melster. Happy birthday coming from your best friend Rhonda.
All right, and we have Miss Sherry Ann Byron. Happy birthday goes out to you, Miss Byron. A special birthday comes from me to you, and a special birthday from the Tobago Updates family. Who do we have next?
We have Mr. Bruce Wayne. Happy birthday to you, Mr. Wayne.
A very legendary name there, man. And a happy birthday goes out to Ijoma the Gale. A happy birthday goes out to you. And special love and greetings from the Tobago Updates family.
Next we have the beautiful Nadine Nicholson. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you. And we have Miss Carissa Isaac. Much love from Auntie Ria and Oswald George. Good morning and happy birthday to you.
Next we have Chantel Williams. Miss Williams, happy birthday.
And finally, Miss Shanika Ben. It's been a while I haven't seen this beautiful young lady. Happy birthday to you, and I hope you will enjoy today. And happy birthday goes out to all. And if you would have missed your birthday, a happy birthday to you. Very well. What do we have on the rundown this morning?
Well, on the rundown, to kick off our interviews, we have a Dr. Paul Crooks here to speak to us about dangerous dogs. After Mr. Crooks, we will bring in Miss Kechi Bausa Kun. She's here to speak to us about some invaders we have in Trinidad and Tobago. And last on our interview, we will have Delisa Rollocks. She's an art psychotherapist, and she'll be speaking to us about art therapy.
Right, and I think we have a special nugget for you guys. We wouldn't make mention of it just yet for an event that might be taking place today, right? So please stay tuned for that, right? And Brother Luke, welcome to the family again. Brother Luke Trim, welcome to the family again. Yes. But we can't leave them hanging without saying, share the live,
share the live, share the live.
You'll be right.
morning, good morning, good morning, put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning.
Everybody only worrying. Never ever worry. Don't mind how things looking hard. I tell them never ever worry. If your life can't get damaged bad, I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry. Don't mind if life make you sad. I tell them never ever worry. If your house get flooded out real bad, I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry. If sickness catch you off guard, I tell them never ever worry. If times fall on you real hard, I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil will always be here for you. Never worry about a thing. Tatil, where people are people. You know what I mean.
Mamai Lakai Home Services. We specialize in cleaning of carpets and rugs, mattresses, living room and dining room sets, vehicle detailing, cleaning and sanitizing of homes and commercial spaces. We also do landscaping and tree cutting, pressure and power washing, floor care, fumigating and air purifying. You can also call us for professional painting services, babysitting and adult sitting. Call us now 333-4430 at Mamai Lakai Home Services. We take cleaning to another level.
Tobago Glass Supplies has been a leading name for over 37 years in the glass and aluminum market in Tobago. We provide an extensive range of high-quality, innovative aluminum and glass products for commercial and residential use. Competitive prices with superior and professional services by committed employees who are guided by rigid quality standards. Tobago Glass Supplies specializes in the manufacture and installation of glass and aluminum products that are essential to today's homeowners and the business environment. We are engaged in marketing, sales, and installation of a variety of products. These ranges from windows and doors to necessities such as mirrors for homes and vehicles, designed and manufactured in-house or imported.
Life, the concert.
Says our destiny.
Friday, 23rd September.
The night before Republic Day.
She says our destiny. She get next to me.
At the concert capital, the Queen's Park, Savannah.
Settle down on the lady. It has to say you are drive me crazy.
Guinness welcomes Mavado and his full band with rising superstar Ken. Life, the concert. Powered by Guinness and Strictly FX.
I said I can't wait for Tobago in October.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning. Good morning, good morning.
Welcome back to the Tobago Updates Morning Show. It's Youth Wednesday, and this segment is going to be a very special segment for our animal lovers, especially the lovers of dogs. I urge you to grab a pen, grab some paper, because this segment is going to be a segment. On set, we have with us today Mr. Paul Crooks, Dr. Paul Crooks, I should say, President-elect of the Tobago Vet Association, here to talk about how owners should handle aggressive dogs. A special morning to you, Mr. Crooks, and how are you doing?
Good morning. Thank you for having me. I'm doing well.
So, aggression is the most common and most serious behavior problem in dogs. It's also the #1 reason why pet parents will seek professional help, such as behaviorists, trainers, and veterinarians. So, when it comes to dogs, can you give us a definition for aggression?
All right. So, typically, there are two types of aggression that we see. What we call timid aggression, which is by far the more common form of aggression. And then we see overt aggression. So with timid aggression, many dog owners or people who have interacted with dogs or worked with dogs would have encountered dogs that would, as you approach them, run and hide under a table. They may back, but as you approach, as you get closer, they go and hide. They go to a safe space, what they consider to be a safe space. So they may go under a bench or behind furniture. They may go under the bed. And if you continue to approach that dog, you will see that the dog withdraws. The dog pulls its head back. Very often you'll see that the dog has the tail down between its legs. It's not just a trope. The dog has its tail between its legs. And that dog is a timid dog. It may be anxious. Sometimes we see fireworks, thunder, dogs reacting in an anxious way where they are going to hide as well and the tail is between the legs. But typically with this dog, as you approach the dog, you maybe extend your hand also to this dog, even though the dog isn't at this point barking, maybe it isn't growling, you extend your hand and the dog may snap. That is called timid aggression. The dog does not want to hurt you. In fact, the dog is clearly indicating to you, I would not like to interact with you. Please leave me alone. Right? And so that is timid aggression, and that is what we see most commonly. Overt aggression is way less common. Sometimes we see typically a small mixed breed dog, a Pompec type dog, or Chihuahua in the US, who would be a real demon dog. If you talk to any vets, they'll be like, those are the worst breeds. Those are not ever going to kill anybody because of their size. And typically, not even the owners can control them. It's partially because of training or a lack thereof, because the owners know that this is a small dog, that when the dog is nipping at your heels as a puppy or pulling at your socks or biting the curtain, it's cute. Whereas the pit bull, who's doing that, the pit bull puppy, you try to stop him. Many owners would try to stop him because he's going to destroy your shoes, destroy your curtain, destroy your heels, destroy your toes, and it's not cute.
Yes.
So they allow the small mixed breed dogs to misbehave. And therefore, when owners come to the vet, many instances, when owners come to the vet, these small, badly behaved dogs will snap, bite, sometimes at the owners and so on when it's time to get an injection. Those are the kinds of dogs that are reacting, this is not an environment that makes me comfortable, this is not something I want to happen to me, so I'm going to react by snapping or biting. That is still not the overt aggression. The overt aggression comes with an animal that without provocation runs and attacks. Typically we have either animal aggression or human aggression. Some bad individual dogs will be both animal aggressive and people aggressive, but we typically see one or the other.
Nice. So I liked how you mentioned pit bull, Chihuahua, because in Tobago we have a variety of dogs. I'm sure if you go outside, you're going to see a potter, you're going to see all types of dogs. So can you tell our viewers and listeners what are some examples of an aggressive breed? Are some breeds more aggressive than some?
Right. So today I'm representing the Trinidad and Tobago Veterinary Association. And from our perspective, our stance is that there are no aggressive breeds. That said, we have seen dogs that are more likely to be aggressive. Just like human medicine, we know that genetics play a role in behaviors, not just in how an animal looks. So if you have two dogs that were overtly aggressive and they are bred, you're more likely to have an overtly aggressive litter. Okay, why am I starting there? Because here in Trinidad and Tobago, we have a lot of inbreeding. A lot. We have a very small genetic pool. And we've seen some breeds of dogs, particularly Rottweilers, which was never on the Dangerous Dog Act. We saw Rottweilers be aggressive, many of them, and overtly aggressive. And the thing is, here in Trinidad and Tobago, a lot of owners think that's a desirable thing. It is not. We always recommend, and this is why we'd say there's no dangerous breed, there are dangerous owners. And we always recommend that owners are able to control their dog. Some owners think it's fun to have a dog walking down the road, the dog pulls you. So the dog sees another dog and you have to hold the dog back. The dog sees a sheep and you have to pull the chain. It makes you look bad, right? Here you have this big dog and you have to pull the dog to stop it chasing children.
Correct.
That's not good training. So you might think you look impressive, you look like a bad boy or whatever. But actually that dog is potentially a very dangerous dog.
So I like how you ended on that note, because you're talking to me, Dr. Crooks, and I'm locked in because as a dog owner, I really want to know, like, what are some signs that I could go home, I could look at my dog, or I could note about my dogs that could tell me that my dog may become aggressive. What are those signs?
Right. So we know that when a dog is in that emotional state, just like a human, we spoke yesterday and I told you, in high school, you children might joke and say, hold me back, right? We know that scenario there. And the dogs don't actually pretend, they play it out. And those dogs that are actually in that very emotional, aggressive state, they zone in on attacking. And it may be difficult to get them out of that frame of mind. The adrenaline is pumping and they're going at it. They're biting. At the end of it, they'll realize, oh no, I've done too much harm. Many dogs might recognize that and be apologetic. You might see, if you own 2 female dogs or 2 male dogs, you might see them fight from time to time over territory or so. And then 5 minutes later, they're licking each other. They're licking the wounds. And I mean, right. These are the kinds of things that happen. They fight and then they apologize. It's very much like humans in that way. But again, you have these individual animals who are going to take it to an extreme level. So what are the red flags? The red flags are typically these animals are beyond the control of the owner. Many times, if you put the animal in an uncomfortable situation, and again, we think back to the pit bull, the compact type dog, small mixed breed dog, you put this in an uncomfortable situation, the animal has a little painful stimulus or something like that, an injection, and this dog is snapping at everybody around him. You try to lift him up and he's biting at you. These are red flags. The owner should be in control. That's the first thing. The second thing is if the dog has shown that behavior before. Not the timid, aggressive dog, but a dog who rushes and bites unprovoked. That is a red flag.
So the question is now, what are our options? For owners that may have aggressive dogs or dogs showing sign of aggression, are there any training centers, layout, or options for us?
We ask all owners to call the Tobago Animal Hospital at 239-7837. You can WhatsApp me personally at 383-4451, or you can WhatsApp the hospital number at 688-8281. And ultimately, the objective there is we have to evaluate the case. Here's the thing. We've seen cases where there are dogs that have attacked and killed sheep, sometimes. And then these dogs, they are bad dogs, depending on the situation and scenario, but we've successfully moved those animals from one location to another, where because they only attack and kill sheep or attack and kill prey species, moving them to an environment where the yard is fenced and they're around a family, a caring family, they do no harm. That has happened, and that can happen. So even though you may see the red flags, the first thing that you have to do is call the vet, or if you're in Trinidad, Tobago doesn't have any at the moment, there are behaviorists who will give you a behavioral consult. So here in Tobago, again, message us, call us, the animal hospital. We'll provide guidance as to where you can go and get the help that you're seeking if we can't provide it. But at first, you must have that discussion with your vet. So a good vet-client relationship is necessary to be built.
Okay, so as we're on the topic of dangerous dogs, you know that we have to touch on the death of Rachel Bagwandine. That was indeed a sad and tragic death. And while the family was retelling the events that occurred, I noticed that they described a part of the attack where the dog was latched on and they found it really hard to get the dog off. Can you give us some insight as to what really happened at that moment?
So, first of all, the Trinidad and Tobago Vet Association already put out a statement, but that is incredibly tragic. This is not the opinion of the Vet Association, this is my opinion. I'm quite sure that that dog, the owner or owners were aware that that dog had that capacity. Usually that kind of incident would not happen without the owners being aware that the dog is that kind of dog. And therefore, some blame is going to fall on the owner, if not all the blame. All right? Because regardless of the behavior of the dog, that owner is ultimately responsible. Anyway, getting back to that behavior. Pit bull type dogs, they are not a breed. This is why they are considered dangerous in many parts of the world. They've been selected, so over time people chose different dogs to mix together, you know, like taking Patongs on the road. They want to make brown dogs, get plenty brown Patongs and mix them together, and you'll have a brown Patong breed. The idea with a breed is that the breed is replicable. So Rottweilers, 99% of them are going to look the same, grow to the same sizes and so on. There will be genetic variations, but basically that's it. With the pit bull, the only thing that they were concerned about when they started creating that was that the dog could bite and clamp hard. And that is where the issue comes. Because when that dog is in that hyperactive, adrenaline-fueled state, for whatever reason that it's in this hunting mode, to stop it clamping down is very, very difficult.
Right, so Dr. Crooks, time is of the essence, but this segment was absolutely amazing. So please remind our viewers of the contacts. So for those who have aggressive dogs, what they can contact you on?
Please call the Tobago Animal Hospital at 239-7837 or call me personally, message me personally at 383-4451.
Thank you very much, Dr. Crooks, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Right, and viewers, remember to share the live, share the live, share the live. We're going to pause for a short break now.
When you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning.
Spa by Haley, where our highly trained staff are ready to deliver the top-class services in facial massages, waxing, nail enhancement and body treatment. We are ideally located at Coco Avenue, Switzerland, Tobago. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, TripAdvisor, or you can call us on 730-0149. Exhale Spa by Haley. Relax, renew, and rejuvenate.
I said I can't wait for Tobago in October.
MI4 Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash and transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
Never ever worry, don't mind if life make you sad. I tell them never ever worry, if your house get flooded out real bad. I tell them never ever worry, what I'm saying is true. So just consider, Tatil will always be here for you.
Tatil, where people are people. You know what I mean. Live, the concert.
Says our destiny.
Friday, 23rd September.
The night before Republic Day.
She
says our destiny to get next to me. At the concert capital, the Queen's Park, Savannah.
Live, the concert. Mavado and his full band.
Advertise with Tobago Updates. Call 284-6597. If you have a small or large business, we can get your information in front of the masses. Reach our rapidly growing viewership on Facebook and YouTube. Promote your brand in Trinidad and the Caribbean through M&E TV Now and Gayel. Yes, we can build unique ads for your business. Call now 284-6597 and advertise with us.
You're moving your ways.
Entertainment. Yes, we're bringing it to you. Tobago Updates. It's all about the new entertainment show, the VIP Experience, hosted by your boy Snoopy. Tune in every Wednesday from 8 p.m. and on Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. We're bringing to you the best Tobago has to offer. We're showcasing interviews, music, and everything that is fun. So join me on Tobago Updates for the VIP Experience. Yeah, man.
Like about to overload. Watch them sexy Tobago woman. Beauty from head to toes in the sun. Skin too don't need no lotion.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Welcome back, viewers, to the Tobago Updates Morning Show. It's Youth Wednesdays, and at this moment, this segment is going to be another interesting one because we would be talking about the giant snail. And on set, we have with us today a Miss Casey Boucher-Koon, a plant protection specialist. A special good morning to you, and how are you doing today? Right, so a plant specialist, what is this profession all about?
Okay, so essentially this designation encapsulates the work concerned with entomology and plant pathology. It deals specifically with plant pests and diseases. This designation deals with any ailment that affects any plant, whether it be crop or ornamentals.
Right, lovely. And the youths are tuned in, and at this moment I'd like to send a shout out to Tyra Myers because she is very interested in this topic. She's tuned in right now. So shout out to Tyra here by Tyra for all your breeding needs. So Casey, listen, I'm scrolling on TikTok and I saw this guy from Trinidad with a basin filled with what appeared to be pacro. So I said, hi, what he going and do with all that pacro water? But as the video continued and I got a better look, I realized that it was snail shells that he burnt. So can you please tell our viewers and listeners about the giant snails and why these snails pose a threat?
Okay, so we're talking about the giant African snail, scientific name Lisarchatina fulca. Now these snails originated in East Africa. However, over the years, they've been distributed across the globe in different climates because they're so adaptable, and primarily so through human activity, through trade, and even through some cases where it was done advertently, where they moved them for pet trade, etc., and just out of curiosity. So this snail, however, is ranked among the world's worst pests because it feeds on so many different species of plants. And the species usually include many of our economic crops or cash crops, such as papaya, cocoa, many of the vegetables, plants and bananas. All of these crops are susceptible to giant African snails.
All right. So the weather we are experiencing in Trinidad and Tobago, sometimes we have sunny days with some serious heat, and some other days we have rain, and more rain. However, the snail is still creeping, it's still invading. So what exactly are the ideal conditions for the snail to thrive in?
Okay, so the giant African snail is a mollusk, a shelled mollusk, and it is therefore susceptible to drying out or desiccation. So the rainy season is its preferred period of activity. However, it will be active during drier months, but at lower levels and predominantly at night. Okay, so now at this point in time, we're seeing snails. They're very, very active because our conditions are quite exactly what they need at this point in time.
All right, so staying on the topic of rain, I remember I was at a villa with my friends and it was a super rainy day. So we're at the pool chilling, relaxing, and we saw a slimy creature. So immediately we started the debate on whether or not this is a slug or is it a leech. So we're going back and forth. It's a slug, no, it's a leech. It's a slug, no, it's a leech. So I'm pretty sure similar debates can occur in reference to the snail. So how do we differentiate a regular snail from a giant snail?
Okay. So the giant African snail is distinctive, and it can be identified primarily by its shell. Okay, so we have a specimen here this morning, and the giant African snail is deep reddish brown. So that's the primary indicator. You look for that deep reddish brown color, and then it has creamish, yellowish longitudinal stripes starting from the apex of the shell going all the way down to the largest body whorl. Right. So if we look at this one here, you can see that deep reddish brown. Yes?
So to all viewers right now, Miss Casey has a shell on the table. She's demonstrating to us so we can see it.
and you see the creamish stripes
Yes.
from the apex of the shell going all the way down. If there are any stripes bisecting the vertical stripes, it's not giant African snail. In addition to that, when you turn on the underside of the shell, this is not continuous. There's a little break and a hook at this end here. We call that the truncated columella, and that's indicative that this is giant African snail. The other species that we have on the island, which are our local land snails, we have the megalo species, which is this one, very common. Also, you tend to see them in the rainy season, but the shell is generally cream, off-white in color. There are no distinctive stripes, and they're usually just about 4 to 5 body whorls. The giant African snail, however, an adult giant African snail will have 7 or more body whorls, and those are these segments that you see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 on this specimen. Yes? We also have a look-alike that people often report to the division, and this is the Autolycus species. This specimen is quite small.
Hold it up for the viewers to see. Nice.
Right? If you look, you see the same deep brown. However, the base color is not brown. The base color is cream or off-white, and then it has the deep brown stripes, and there's also horizontal stripes that bisect the vertical stripes. And when you look at the underside, there is no hook or truncation in the columella, and that tells you that this is our tree snail species, or Autolycus species. Okay, so that's how you start determining if you have giant African snail or not. And of course, once you see a suspicious snail, you ought to report it immediately to the Plant Protection Hotline via WhatsApp 482-7528. You can WhatsApp images of your suspected snail, and we will respond.
Lovely. So home gardening, it's something that is commonly practiced in my family. Shout out to my Auntie Tasha and her flavoring peppers. But with this giant snail invading, what are some signs? What are the indicators that home gardeners and farmers can look for to signal whether or not the giant snail has moved into their garden?
Okay, so first of all, the giant African snail, again, active at night, dusk and dawn. However, in the rainy season, and especially in cases where we have weather like we've had for the past few days, they can also be found moving in the daytime. Once there is sufficient moisture and the temperature is cool enough to accommodate their movement, they can be found moving. So they cannot be missed. Once there's giant African snails in your community, at some point in time you will see them. Additionally, you will tend to see defoliation, bite marks in fruits. So say for instance your aunt's pimento peppers, she can wake up the next morning and realize that the pimentos are gone or the tree is completely cut down, and large amounts of stool in and around the plant. That's an indicator that you have giant African snail. Of course, this slime trail, they will leave a slime trail as with any type of snail, and that tells you that you have giant African snail in the area.
So I think we've given these giant African snails the floor. What's that there?
So these are the eggs.
Wow.
So this starts off very, very small. So this vial has a few eggs. The eggs are cream to yellow in color. Yes, just a few millimeters in length. When they hatch at this stage, they're also about 7 millimeters long. That's very small. It can fit on your thumbnail. And then they grow from stage to stage. So they hatch, they become a neonate and a juvenile, and then at about 6 months, which would be around this size range, they will become sexually mature, which means they will lay viable eggs. At this point, there's a problem. We want to get rid of them before they start laying their eggs and mating, of course. So the giant African snail is present on the island. We've identified it in more than 3 zones. 2 of them were successfully dealt with.
Lovely.
We have 1 area that is currently under eradication through the division's eradication team. That's the area in Lambo there, close to Belgroves. You will see the quarantine zone. There's caution tape and there's signage indicating that no one should enter the compound or remove anything from those premises, particularly for our small ruminant farmers who love to collect the grass clippings in those areas. Those areas flanking that property, we strongly advise that you do not collect grass clippings from those areas, just as an additional precaution to prevent the transfer of snails to your backyard and your community by extension.
Lovely. Thank you for the information. So we gave these giant African snails the floor, we gave them the spotlight. Now it's time for us to discuss how to get rid of them.
Yes.
How can we fight against these giant snails?
Excellent question. So there are a number of methods to deal with the giant African snail. So I'll begin first with the manual method. So just as you see these here, you're going to go out when they're active. So at dusk, when the sun sets, from about 6:37, you go out and you're armed with your bucket and your spade or your gloves or your plastic bag. Always cover your hands. You see I'm here with my hands covered because the snail also is a vector, for the rat lungworm, which can cause meningitis in humans and can be potentially fatal. So you must never handle suspected snails or the giant African snails with your bare hands, okay? When you do that, you're going to submerge the collected snails in a bleach solution, 2 cups bleach to 1 gallon of water for no less than 24 hours. You can also submerge them in a salt or brine solution for no less than 24 hours. Same concoction, ratio, 2 cups of salt to 1 gallon of water, and you submerge them for no less than 24 hours. Once they've been there for that period, you have 2 options. You can burn your snails, or you can double bag them in plastic bags and dispose of them in the garbage, okay? So that's the manual method. Also, it might sound laborious. The same thing goes for the eggs. You scoop up the eggs with an implement and you add them to the killing solution and or burn. And in addition to that, you must also note that it is important not to leave dead snails open, because the open orifices collect water and become breeding sites for mosquitoes. Okay, so you want to make sure and clean up all the dead snails. The next option is a chemical method. You want to use a bait, a pelleted bait with the active ingredient metaldehyde. And for households or more domestic settings, we recommend iron phosphate baits because it's less toxic to pets and small children who tend to be in and around the compound. So those baits can be broadcasted, or they can be placed in a container with an open side to allow the snails in, feed and die, or you create different trap bodies that they can enter and feed and then die there. The third option is also a chemical option, but this is a liquid preparation instead. This chemical's active ingredient is thiodicarb. You can treat affected areas of soil with thiodicarb by spray, or you can create food baits out of banana scraps, vegetable scraps, chop them up, mix them with bear, because snails and slugs are attracted to bear. They love bear.
Wow.
You're mixing your bear, your fruit scraps, and your thiodicarb, and you can create heaps or mounds in different areas. You can even place these mixtures in your trap bodies or your containers, and the snails will come in and ingest the treated food material and die there.
Wow. So I really love how we learned many things about the snails, also many ways to kill them.
Yes.
But I noticed that you said earlier that the snail can cause meningitis, and it brought me back to when I was really, really young. I remember at Panam they had this exhibition and they were selling these bottles of snail oil. Is that recommended?
Not giant African snail oil. One, because there's no way to verify. Now, if this is something that is produced by a regular person in the community, there's no way to know if the product was pasteurized or handled appropriately to be applied. So I would stay far from anything made from giant Africans.
Lovely.
Yeah.
So can you please tell our viewers the division you come from and give them the hotlines, the contacts, so if they spot these African snails?
Okay. So I am the Specialist Officer Plant Protection under the Division of Food Security, Natural Resources, the Environment and Sustainable Development.
Wow, what a title.
Under the Food Crop Production Department. This department is also responsible for the eradication work that is being done at this point in time. You can report the snail to the following numbers directly to the Plant Protection Hotline at 482-7528, or you can also call the Food Crop Production Office at 639-4616. Again, 482-7528 for the Plant Protection Hotline or 639-4616. Additionally, this afternoon, I should say this evening, tonight, we are having a community meeting at the Mount Grace Community Center. And that meeting is geared towards sensitizing members of the Mount Grace and WIM community about this invasive species and or collaborative actions that are planned to eradicate the pests in those species. So I am employing everyone. If you belong to that community or you have the time to spare, do drop in at the Mount Grace Community Center at 7 p.m.
Thank you very, very much, Casey, for the informative segment, and thank you for joining us here on Tobago Update. This was an amazing segment. I learned a lot, and I'm sure viewers can see that they learned a lot too, right? Viewers, remember to share the live, share the live, share the live. We're going to pause for an intermission at the moment.
And look at me face to face. Good morning, good morning, good morning.
I love how you're moving your ways.
Entertainment. Yes, we're bringing it to you. Tobago Updates. It's all about the new entertainment show, the VIP experience, hosted by your boy Snoopy. Tune in every Wednesday from 8 p.m. and on Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. We're bringing to you the best Tobago has to offer. We're showcasing interviews, music, and everything that is fun. So join me on Tobago Updates for the VIP experience. Yeah, man.
Watch how you're backing back on me. Like about to overload. Watch them sexy Bego woman. Beauty from head to toes in the sun. Skin smooth, don't need no lotion.
I said I can't wait for Bego in October.
Life, the concert.
Says our destiny.
Friday, 23rd September.
The night before Republic Day. She says our destiny. She get next to me. At the concert capital, the Queen's Park, Savannah.
Life, the concert. Mavado and his full band.
MI4 Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash and transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
Never ever worry, don't mind if life make you sad. I tell them never ever worry, if your house get flooded out real bad. I tell them never ever worry, what I'm saying is true. So just consider, Tatil will always be here for you.
Tatil, where people are people. You know what I mean.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, Good morning.
Welcome back to the Tobago Updates morning show. It's Youth Wednesdays, and we are delighted that you have decided to stay with us as we continue our very exciting and informative conversations with our guests. I'm joined with Dwayne Nurse, and today we will be interviewing DJ Snoopy. He told me not to call him DJ Snoopy, but I know it as DJ Snoopy. So Dwayne, the floor is yours. You're muted, Dwayne.
All right. Good morning, Snoopy.
Good morning, Dwayne. What you see?
Where's the word?
I did quiet.
You know we could always trust you. You know we could always rely on you to bring the vibes, eh?
You're selling dreams right now. Way too early for that, boy.
No, brother. And I know Tobago Updates repose enough confidence in you to bring the vibes, else you would not be here this morning.
Well, all right.
Yeah. So tell us, what we've been up to? What have you been up to? You know, we've been seeing you in prominent shows and so on. You know, you're the best host on the island.
Come now, don't relax. But I've been booked and busy. Thankful for that. Almost everything that taking place, either hosting or as a DJ with my DJ 3D. You know, so that's basically it. Looking to delve into some new terrain right now. So we excited about that.
Great. So tell us about what this youth entertainment show, the VIP experience.
Well,
tell us about it.
Everyone deserves a VIP experience, basically, all right? And what the team said, you know what, there's a lot of local talent within the Tobago space, and it isn't being showcased enough. So we bring in that platform, so to speak, for artists, promoters, DJs, anyone to come forth and showcase their talent. Let's give you that VIP experience. We know we're heading into Tobago Carnival, and we're going to be, you know, going to a lot of these shows, also to the mass bands, the band leaders as well, and just bringing the vibe, building the hype, so to speak, leading into the Tobago Carnival. And then out of that, you know, you never know what could happen now, but you say, I look forward to it.
Of course, and I hope I might be able to be featured.
But of course, you are VIP within your own right.
You see, you're trained about the mamagism, but it's not mamagism this morning. But you know, interestingly, I would have taken a similar idea to the producers, and you know, I love this spin on it. You know, it was always an endeavor of mine to see our young or youth, whether they be very prominent or upstart, you know, being featured in this space. And you know, since I've been on this show, I can safely say that you know, Tobago indeed has a lot of hidden talent. And I know certainly you are a host for the 2 Cents movement some years ago, and that is something that I am looking forward to having again. Or young poets on the island showcasing their talent and even having more events, so young people like myself could go to and carry a little, you know, girlfriend and laugh my belly full, you know. Just we need to have a lot more of that. So tell us, have you been getting a lot of phone calls already? What is the procedure to get on to be featured in this thing?
All right, well, to the folks that know me, they can contact me as well, but they can contact the team because I've been getting messages throughout the night already, and we want to have everyone. It's not limited to, let's say, artists and DJs and promoters and so forth, but you know, youth like yourself that are doing something and are inspiring other youth, because at the end of the day, you never know who you are inspiring. All right, you never know who's watching. So we want to just give that platform to you. Like I said, you could reach out to me or you could reach out to the team, and we can take it from there. You come forward and let's have some fun.
All right. It would be remiss of me to not shout out one of my favorite friends and supporters, Miss Tintin Jack, good morning to you. She just told me to come down from the. I sitting on a chair. If I come down from the camera would not see me. I shudder to think that is good advice this morning. But good morning to you, and good morning to all our other viewers and listeners. Right? We are chatting with Snoopy, the Tobago most prominent and popular host. He said it himself. He was booked out, busy and booked. BB, right? So when is this event like? When is this feature likely to start on this show? When can we look forward to it?
All right, so you can look forward to it tonight, right here,
Tonight.
Tobago Update, at 8 p.m., right? And then on Saturday mornings, we're back again at 9 a.m. All right, so it's a nice little vibe. You come home from work, you lay off the load and everything, and then you just sit back, relax, and enjoy, the nice little VIP experience. All right.
Right,
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Snoopy, you gave us a very good segment, and I hope to see all the young people at the VIP experience. At this moment, we're gonna pause for another intermission. So remember to share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be back.
You're moving your ways.
Entertainment. Yes, we're bringing it to you. Tobago Updates. It's all about the new entertainment show, the VIP experience, hosted by your boy Snoopy. Tune in every Wednesday from 8 p.m. and on Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. We're bringing to you the best Tobago has to offer. We're showcasing interviews, music, and everything that is fun. So join me on Tobago Updates for the VIP experience. Yeah, man.
Watch how your back, like about to overload. Watch them sexy Bego woman. Beauty from head to toes in the sun. You two don't need no lotion.
Good morning. Put a smile on your.
There's a taste in the air everywhere. Feel the vibe, cause it's something to share. Smooth, rich and creamy, you'll find it right here. Makes you smile, relax a while, it's fun and good cheer. Ooh, enjoy every scoop. Ooh, every taste will get you hooked. We have flavors that you love, a combination special. Come along, enjoy your treats. This is Uncle Pete's.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Welcome back, guys. Good morning, and you're live. Here we are live in the Tobago Updates morning show in Portmore, Scarborough. You are viewing Youth Wednesdays, and we have a very special guest this morning for you. We have a very special guest this morning for you, Miss Denisha Rollox. And this morning's topic is art therapy. How can art be therapeutic? We know about a lot of therapy, but she would tell us this morning how art can be therapy. And joining us, we have, of course, Mr. Trim, accompanying me with the interview this morning. So first of all, Miss Rollox, welcome.
Thank you for having me. Good morning, everyone.
All right. Good morning. Right. Looking lovely as usual.
Thank you.
So my first question to you, just give us a brief, just tell us about yourself briefly.
Okay, so I'm Delisa Rolex, a UK registered art psychotherapist and art therapist. I'm also the CEO and founder at Rolex Therapeutic Care, where I offer art therapy services to persons of all ages, persons who are interested and is looking for personal growth and development can benefit from the intervention.
All right. And but why did you get into art? And interestingly, it is the first time I've heard a professional, in
Familiar, and it's good to see one of my past students interviewing me here. So as an art teacher, my experience at former Bishop's High School, the working with children and dealing or being aware of the experiences that some of them would have been going through, it led me to go and further my studies.
All right, all right. The other question I would like to ask before I give it over to your past student, how is art can be viewed as a therapeutic method? We are accustomed to the usual sitting in front of somebody who's a professional, or we might even be accustomed to physical therapy, and so on. How is art now can be used as a therapeutic method?
Okay, so let me briefly explain to you what art therapy is. So art therapy is a form of psychotherapy where persons use art materials to explore emotional issues. The actual process of making art can shed a light on feelings that are difficult to communicate verbally. Over time, it is possible to evaluate progress by looking at the work produced. So the same way how you would go to a medical professional when you are not feeling well is the same way you can use art therapy to deal with psychological issues. Almost anyone, as I said before, can benefit from this intervention. I work with children, adolescents, adults, and older adults to deal with conditions such as anxiety, depression, mental health issues, persons who have difficulty communicating, persons who have experienced loss, trauma, you name it. Once you are looking for that personal growth, you can benefit from the intervention.
Right, lovely, lovely. And it's always good to sprinkle a bit of Bishopian essence in anything that you do. So I'm really excited to have you on board today, because I remember when you teach me art for a minute in second form, and I love the subject, I love the teacher, because when you love the subject, it's because you love the teacher. So it's good to see that you have developed and you have reached the heights, because I also remembered the music festival when you were even like a little mini mentor and counselor to me also. So to see that you are stepping into your purpose, it is lovely. So mental health is something that in our generation, it is looked down on. Like, we don't discuss it, we don't want to talk about it. Everybody think that suppressing your emotions is the new trend. So for youths who are brave enough to, seek your services, how can they reach out to you?
So persons can check me on all social media platforms at Rolex Therapeutic Care. I am on Facebook, I am on Instagram as well for further information.
Right, lovely. So give us a little something and let us know, like, tell our viewers, if they are to step into your office right now, what is the experience they are going to get with this art therapy?
Okay, so let me explain to you how the session goes. So the session is divided into 3 different sections. The first section is called the check-in segment, where I allow clients to more or less share their issues and concerns. So there is dialogue in the intervention, and then once I realize or I pick up that communication is difficult to formulate, I would then invite my clients to the table. So I have a wide range of materials where clients can engage using dry materials, wet materials, etc. There is time allocated to the art making process, and then at the end we have the reflection where clients have the opportunity to talk about the work produced. If clients don't want to talk about the work, that is more or less okay, because I can't force persons to speak. Most times when I'm dealing with clients, so for example, if I'm dealing with a client that is experiencing anxiety, the mere fact that they are in that room is it could be a challenge for them. Because you have to mentally prepare yourself to come into this space. There are some persons or some of my clients that don't even want to leave the household. So coming into the space, I would say, is a step or a progress for them. So to avoid communication, they would start to engage with the materials right away. So I allow them, because the sessions are more or less client-led, so any information or however you want to use that intervention, it's okay with you. I am more or less as a witness to person's progress, and then I'm there to more or less guide them along this journey, right? So talking about my anxiety patients, they would engage with the materials, and then at the end they wouldn't even want to talk about the work, and that's totally fine. Once that therapeutic relationship is developed to where trust and my client feels comfortable in talking to me, then they would start to communicate more, and they would be able to see the development and progress that they have been making themselves.
Lovely. So viewers, that sounds like an experience that you would be having. Now, my last question is, when it comes to art and schools, do you think that adding art therapy to the curriculum, seeing that we already have art, do you think that adding art therapy to the school curriculum to probably work alongside guidance counselors, do you think that would be an extra addition or a good boost for the school environment?
Most definitely. So I did reach out to the Division of Education, because I do believe that a lot of children are struggling, and with that struggle they are also masking quite well. And what I want to more or less recommend or to speak to parents this morning: be more observant. Check up on your children. Because I remember when I was invited to, say, a secondary school to their career day, I was speaking about art therapy and the benefits of art therapy, etc. And the moment the children engaged with the materials, it became a large therapy group session. And you would be amazed to know that the moment they engage with the materials, the issues started presenting themselves. And I think a lot of children, I don't know, based on the relationship that they have with their parents, they don't feel comfortable expressing and talking about their issues, because as you said, it could be not everyone is open to speaking about their issues. I think over the years, it's our culture to more or less suppress our emotions. But then when you are easily triggered, then you see the issues presenting themselves. So what I do, I provide this safe haven for persons to explore. There is no judgment at all. And in that, you would then be able to see the growth and the overall improvement of your well-being.
Right, lovely. Anything else you would like to add and tell our viewers about your art therapy experience?
There is help. Persons, if you know individuals who are struggling, reach out. There is no stigma towards mental health, and there's also no stigma towards seeking a therapist. Like I said, like I mentioned earlier before, you would go to the doctor when you are not feeling well. The same way, if you are not feeling well psychologically, you can seek a therapist. Art therapy, be open to it. And there are other forms of therapy. For example, you could go and you could see a psychologist, and there are other forms of therapy. So choose which one you think that you can benefit from, and
it's going to be an experience.
See that growth and development, yes.
Right. So I'm going to switch you back over to Dwayne. I don't know if you want to add or ask anything else.
Well, you would have covered most of three of my questions already, but I'll just ask one more. Are there different types? How do you choose the art forms in terms of sketching, drawing, painting for your patients or your clients? Is it by preference, or you would choose for them the best or most recommended art form for them? And my follow-up question is: Are some art forms more therapeutic than others?
Okay, so I'll answer the first question first. So in art therapy, there is no theme that I give my clients. As I said before, the sessions are more or less client-led. The work produced is used as communication, so there is no judgment based on the work that you produce. So, for example, I would have a client that would more or less engage. Some clients like to write, some clients like to create images that may have some form of sentimental value to them. I am not there as a therapist to judge your work or to even tell you what the work means. Most times in dialogue, the issues present themselves, and I am there to link how the artwork and the information shared could more or less help you to treat whatever condition. So there is no theme. I don't choose the materials for my clients. Clients have the opportunity to choose whatever materials that they feel comfortable using, and then at the end we talk about it.
Lovely.
Depending on the intervention and how progress has been made, I would more or less challenge my clients, but that is all part of therapy. You know, you would get a challenge here, there, and everywhere. So I could challenge you in using a particular material, but that really comes later down.
Thank you very much, Miss Rollux. Viewers, there we have it, Deldecia Rollux, art therapist, with her art therapy. So, Dwayne, I think it's time for us to wrap up now. This morning was a really great show, wasn't it?
Yes, my son. Welcome to the team, and you know you did well for first time, and you know I know that the viewers and your personal supporters will even add to the Tobago update experience. You know I enjoyed all the interviews this morning, and they were very much informative, and you know specifically the last one. I think it's very important that we pay much attention to mental health and how we treat with mental health. So it was a pleasure having you guys this morning. Any last parting words, Mr. Trim, before we bring on the curtains finally for them?
Well, I think that we have covered everything we have to cover today, Dwayne. So let's bring down the curtain in the proper East Side style, because I know we both from the East. So viewers, listeners, and everybody, thank you for joining us today on this Wednesday, Youth Wednesday, and I hope to see you all again next Wednesday. Thank you.
All right. Just remember, no, we ain't finishers yet. We can't leave them until we tell them to share the live.
Share the live.
Share the live.
And share the live.
Share the live. Enjoy your day, guys.
If you see or know about a crime, report a crime safely and anonymously. Call 800-TIPS. Help stop crime. You can play your part safely and anonymously. Report a crime. Earn a reward. Call 800-TIPS. Help stop crime. Be a hero, champion, fearless citizen. Be a crime stopper safely and anonymously. Call 800-TIPS. Help stop crime.
Excel Spa by Haley, where our highly trained staff are ready to deliver the top-class services in facial
Tobago has to offer. We're showcasing interviews, music, and everything that is fun. So join me on Tobago Updates for the VIP experience. Yeah, man.
Like about to overload. Watch them sexy Bago woman. Beauty from head to toe in the sun. You too don't need no lotion. It's a different type of thing down there. And we party till we drop down there. With a lot of pretty girls down there, down in Tobago.
Everybody only worrying. Never ever worry. Don't mind how things looking hard. I tell them never ever worry. If your lives can't get damaged bad. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry. Don't mind if life make you sad. I tell them never ever worry. If your house get flooded out real bad. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry if sickness catch you off guard. I tell them never ever worry if times fall on you real hard. I tell them never ever worry, what I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil will always be here for you.
Never worry about a thing. Tatil, where people are people. You know what I mean.
I said I can't wait for Tobago in October.
Mamai Lakai Home Services. We specialize in cleaning of carpets and rugs, mattresses, living room and dining room sets, vehicle detailing, cleaning and sanitizing of homes and commercial spaces. We also do landscaping and tree cutting, pressure and power washing, floor care, fumigating and air purifying. You can also call us for professional painting services, babysitting and adult sitting. Call us now 333-4430 at Mamai Lakai Home Services. We take cleaning to another level.
Hey, Tobago updates. Na 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 na. Good morning, Tobago. Na 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 na. Wake up with Candace and Denise.
Let's go, go. It's a brand new morning. Rise up to a brand new dawning. As the passion start to rise, the energy fill the skies. I say thanks for favor to wake up and hear my neighbor. 60,000 people strong, and the vibes is never wrong. We are beauty, we are power, we are people in the sun. We are beaches, we are rivers.
Welcome to Good Morning Tobago on Tobago Updates, your source for current affairs in Tobago, Trinidad and the region, with the perfect conversations to complement your morning routine. I am Candace Jackson, and let's get started with the news in 90 seconds. Minority Leader Calvin Morris calls Secretary of Education, Research and Technology, Sarisha Hackett, incompetent for failing to ensure all schools were ready for Monday's reopening. Speaking on the Minority Report, Morris claimed that more schools other than the Scarborough Secondary and the Speyside High Schools had infrastructural problems that prevented classes from occurring. He said that the PDP-led administration promised on mandate Monday that all schools would be ready. However, they failed to put the necessary procurement policies in place to begin repair works earlier and keep their promises. Meanwhile, traffic is restricted to a single lane along the Windward Road in Bell Garden, near Doctor's Mechanical Garage. The restrictions became necessary after a portion of the retaining wall in the area failed, threatening safety on the roadway. The Division of Infrastructure, Quarries and Urban Development dispatched a crew to repair the retaining wall. However, barring adverse weather conditions, the rehabilitation work is expected to be completed within 3 weeks. As a result, motorists are warned to exercise extreme caution and expect delays when traversing the Windward Road through Bell Garden. And nationally, former Commissioner of Police Gary Griffith will have a chance to respond to the report on the firearm user's license before the Prime Minister lays a report in Parliament. The Office of the Attorney General yesterday wrote to Griffith's attorney, informing him of the latest decision. According to the AG, Griffith and all others mentioned in the report will have the same opportunity to respond. This decision came after Griffith's attorney threatened legal action if the report was laid in Parliament before their client was given a chance to comment. The FUL audit report includes a summary of an investigation into the issuance of firearm users license at the Police Services Firearms Department. And that was the news in 90 seconds. And you know, viewers, now we've had a lot of things going on within our space, especially with the reopening of schools are concerned. And you know, there's been a lot of questions. There's been a lot being said in the public space. And on set with me this morning for the entire show, I have none other than the Secretary of Education, Research and Technology, Ms. Sarisha Hackett, who will be spending the time with us just speaking about some of those issues as well as her time in politics. as a woman in politics? Because as you may or may not know, and she's been the subject of many, let's just say, attacks or many comments, some of them quite degrading towards her character. And you know, it's been an interesting time within our political space. So we're going to be getting into some of those discussions. But first of all, a special and good morning and welcome to you, the lovely Miss Zarisha Hackett. How are you doing?
Good morning, Candice. Fine, thank you. Fine, thank you. Good morning, Tobago.
And thank you so much for being here with us.
Yes. I mean, office is right next door, right?
Yes, certainly. All right, so we're going to get the conversation started now because we want to address some of the issues where education is concerned.
Sure.
Now, we had school reopening on Monday. It was a bit of a shaky start.
Yes, it was,
with
admittedly.
the rest and reflect.
Yes.
So, and then I know you said at the press conference on Friday that, you know, it broke your heart that Scarborough Secondary was one of those schools that could not reopen in time for Monday. So, I mean, I just want you to address those. And there's also the claims from the minority that said that there were many other schools that were not ready. Now, I know you guys also sent out a release on Sunday night stating that Speyside High School would not be reopened until yesterday.
Yes.
So, give us an update on what's been happening where schools' readiness is concerned.
All right, so let me go back to the process. The school repair program is something that the Division of Education, Research and Technology, and the other incarnations of the division in years gone by took upon itself to ensure that we had some remedial works taking place on our school compound. We have 57 schools under purview. There are many more schools in the Tobago space, but 57 schools are the direct responsibility of the division, and therefore 12 of those are early childhood care centers. 36 of those are primary schools, including 2 special schools, and 9 are secondary schools. And so for the last 2 years, the division, of course, we were in the throes of the pandemic.
Yes.
The division did not engage in the school repair program. And so upon assuming office, one of the first mandates was to ensure that we had a school repair program, and probably one of the largest school repair programs to date through this need for structural works to be done and just general upgrades and upkeep. And therefore, my division embarked on this project through what is called a project matrix as early as May or so. The project implementation unit pulled the team together. They sat and we had this clear mapping of how we would go about the school repair program step by step and phase by phase. Secretary, who is given general direction and control according to the THA Act, has to oversee the administrator, who is the chief accounting officer and executes these projects. And therefore, with all my passion and with all my enthusiasm and so on, my signature wasn't needed on any of these documents at all. And so what I was responsible for was oversight and to ensure that we met often, that our deadlines and timelines were kept, that the process was managed. But in terms of the actual implementation, the execution, the letters of awards and all the procurement and project parts of the process, Secretary did not have a direct role, as I said before, oversight. And so this has been one of the most challenging periods of my life. Everyone knows that I've been a teacher since my 19th birthday, actually. So I spent most of my life from Goodwood High School and then on to Scarborough Secondary School under much, spotlight right now in education. And I myself have, I've been disappointed. September morning, you show up in school and, you have not seen that much change in the physical infrastructure. And so I know what it means and how it feels to go back into a compound and not feel as if, it was given that attention. And so one of the things, one of the visions, one of the goals I had personally was to ensure that September morning, January morning, April, teachers, staff, all staff, auxiliary staff, teachers, and of course students return to their plants in a safe environment, in one that is visibly pleasing, one that promotes learning, one where you feel comfortable and you feel engaged enough to want to produce. And so this has been a driving force behind me upon becoming secretary. And so the process via note from, well, a minute from Exec Council that proposed the budget and so on, all of that happened before the 8th of July. Project implementation unit was enhanced in terms of additional staffing to ensure we can zone the island and have the project better managed. Procurement was also enhanced because, of course, while the school repair program is going on, you have other procurement issues to treat with. Furniture, the management of our other facilities, including the library, and then internal procurement. And so that had to be enhanced as well. And we had a clear plan, clear deadlines, as I said, and the breakdown just came with that bureaucratic process of pushing the paperwork up and out. And therefore, we had systems where staff would pass information on to administrator. This information would have to be signed off on. Secretary, of course, is informed of the process, and then it goes back down and out, all right? And so part of that process included a 10-day evaluation committee, and this is a committee that sits after the site visits occur and all the scopes and all of that is done by PIU. The 10-day evaluation committee looks at the contractors, what we call bidding. They look at that, and then, they come up with who would be awarded that particular contract. Secretary has no part in that process as well, and that process led to what we call letter of awards, and that's how you as a contractor know that you are the selected person to go, or the team to go out into that school.
And I want
to
yes, I want to say an idea because because we're also here to address some of the comments and things like that that have been leveled against you, and that one of that is that so before coming into this position right now, you were one of those persons who were very vocal about the governance structure back then, and in terms of, making sure that these things, like when it comes to school repairs and that sort of thing, that is in place for when school starts. However, now we're seeing a situation where now you are sort of, saying that the bureaucratic process, the people that are involved, the people that are there to do the job, things didn't quite happen as it should.
And so this is
people
where
are saying that no, you're passing the blame.
No, this is not passing the
it.
blame. And of course, Candice, if you allow me to finish, then you would see what I did as secretary to ensure that, the issues we faced, and you have to identify that you're facing issues, right? So you just don't sit down as secretary and say, okay, the bureaucratic process is not functioning. Of course, you ask persons to account. One of the ways you ask persons to account in the public service is, you're right. You can't hold someone and, cut their tail. You can't, be confrontational. That's not how it goes. Professionalism and the way it works in the public service is secretary writes to administrator and you ask for reports.
Yes.
Of course, you meet. You have that interaction. You have your meetings. You sit with your heads and you constantly, you have your timelines in front of you and you try to stick to those timelines. Of course, if you're seeing, obviously, with 8 weeks to play with, and you're seeing that you're at a particular stage in July, the TCs that should have been formed according to our matrix since June, that you're now having those pulled together. Again, secretary can't pull together a TC. That's the 10-day evaluation committee. You're seeing letters of awards not yet distributed. Secretary. So as secretary, I had to write to my chief secretary. All right? So I wrote to my chief secretary, I have a fare. And this fare, because of the timelines are not being met, I have to intervene. I want to do obviously some research to see how as secretary I can intervene at this stage. Chief secretary wrote to chief administrator. My secretary is having a challenge in the division. Of course, we're not going to sit down and throw any blames around. We still have enough time to salvage this thing. How do we go about doing so? Chief administrator writes back to chief secretary. Let secretary produce what she's been writing and documenting as the challenges she's facing in the division. I produced all my records of interaction between the administrator and myself. Chief secretary and chief administrator have a discussion. Chief administrator relieves the administrator of some of the duties of the division. Chief secretary and executive council have a discussion. Listen, we have 4 weeks to go. before the 5th of September. At this stage, evaluation committees are now meeting to decide who gets the contract. With a month to go, if you're now meeting with a month to go, you're running the risk of course, giving contractors these contracts too late. You're running the risk of organizing the mobilization fees and all of this too late. You're obviously running the risk of getting on these plans and starting the work too late. It wasn't even a case of, okay, it's too late, let's just try again another year. The schools were actually in an extreme state of disrepair, Candice. And as I said, I experienced it myself firsthand, all right? And so that disappointment is something I just could not live with. I went to my executive council, not prepared. Executive council, this is the current situation, and I had to justify that. This is the current situation with 4 weeks to go. As an executive council, I am asking for your support. This must be transformed into what we call emergency repair works. And that just can't happen. You can't just say, I feel too, or it's a whim or fancy. The justification must be a solid one, all right? And how we justified it as well is dividing the works into what we call low, mid, and high priority. Low, mid, and high, obviously, because of the time, you can't get everything done. You have some schools where principals wanted surfaces of kitchens changed from one material to the other. They wanted some traditional games painted on the compound. They wanted facelifts through paint jobs. That is not high priority, in my opinion. High priority, anything that has to treat with the health and safety of your users of the plant. All right? So ceilings and roofs, electricals, plumbing, anything that affects washroom works and so on. Anything that has to deal with air quality and control. And so we had to reprioritize the entire program. And I'm talking about first week of August now, because you have to wait until the note is approved. All right? And so first week of August, Executive Council met, note approved, confirmed the minute then, and we had to go straight into emergency repair works. And at that stage, Secretary had to pull herself out again, because emergency repair works means sole select. You look at the players in this space who would have performed excellent service, right? Given excellent workmanship to the Tobago House of Assembly, and those persons, because you don't get a mobilization fee, the contractor goes out and does everything and then presents. Of course, you have estimates to be done. The division does not have a QS, a quantity surveyor, so we had to borrow one from the division of ComDev, Youth Dev, and Sport, have that person come in, and the secretary. If anybody passed in Dutch Fort that entire month of August, you saw my car parked up there, pushing my staff, ensuring that we had that moral support and you know, that sense of this thing needs to happen. All right? And so the emergency repair works, what you actually saw, what the Tobago space saw within that last 3 weeks of August was actually the emergency repair works being triggered. As a matter of fact,
was supposed to happen.
Only 14 packages. So we had a vision of getting 150, I think 156 packages out. By the time we reprioritized, it ended up being 90, I think 96 true high priority. And of the 96, only 14 or so, and I'll get the numbers today and ensure that it's accurate, only 14 or so being what went through the actual process. Everything else became emergency repair works. And Candice, unfortunately, this is not how I envisioned it. But thank God that there is an executive council where we can sit and where we see the thing not going in the direction we want it to, have that opportunity to try to salvage the thing. And that is what happened. That part of the process, as I'm saying, that you're seeing happening, emergency repair works.
All right, and I also want to address like something else from that that whole situation, and is that claim there that some of the contractors that were used were not those that were originally contracted by the division, because I mean, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, because we're clarifying some of the things here,
and clarity is important.
So there's a claim that some of the contractors they were not on the list or would have been ones that would have traditionally done works, and there is, I mean, there might have been that policy where only contractors that have previously been engaged with the division should be doing these repair works.
The note is written on contractors in the Tobago space. So if you did works with infrastructure, ComDev, that's how the note is written. And that is because when we saw the number of packages, if you had to evaluate only the division of education, then you would probably have one contractor having to treat with 4, 5, 6 schools.
Within a short space of time.
Within a short space in time. The note was not written that only pulled the division of education as the assessment or the criteria only for that assessment. However, I mean, freedom of information is there.
Yes.
This is a space where I don't know how much you could hide, right? So, I mean, anybody is free to, you know, look on the list, verify that the contractors are indeed on that list. As I said, secretary does not have any role to play in that process. But what I can say that we can stand up to scrutiny with that list. You see, when you have a situation that deviates from the norm, and as I said, we had a thorough program, well-organized and mandated program, and it did not go in that direction. You cannot come now on the back end where you're triggering emergency repair works. Call out the previous administration for challenges we faced, you know, then as opposition looking on with them, you know, just as we said, having these deals in the dead of midnight, you know, and then do the same thing. And one thing I want to be able to do is to stand up to scrutiny. Right? Yes. And so my officers who were charged with that responsibility, they made it their duty to ensure that everything that was done in that process can stand up to scrutiny, because of course you're going to hear the noises in this space. I heard all types of things. Only PDP contractors, brand new contractors, people were now registering to get on the PCO list. You just heard the noises in this space, and that's how it goes. That's how politics goes. All right? But as secretary, my administration could be calling out the previous for particular deviations from, you know, what good policy should be, what good governance practices should be, and then come and do same. So I am going to rubbish those claims. The information is there. FOI is available for persons who are interested in understanding what occurred. Questions can be asked to me, the secretary. But as far as I know, the justification is clear and the process was followed to a T.
All right. So in this case now, so you've highlighted and you've been very comprehensive in stating, you know, what really happened. Yeah. Because, again, I mean, these are some of the information that people have been calling for and wondering.
Yeah.
Now, people have also been saying that, you know, why...
When you say people, Candice, you know, if it's a fake page saying it, I would not address that concern. I'm just, you know, putting that disclaimer out there. If we have credible, reliable sources of information, then we can have a conversation.
Okay, so there's also that claim that, you know, you have not been out as much in the media to really give us an update of what's been happening in terms of the school repair program. Because, again, this was a promise that was made by the PDP administration to have all schools ready in time for the reopening, which was on Monday.
And Candice, let me tell you, and one of the things I'm learning very early as a politician, you can come into this field of play with all the passion, all the good motives, all the ambition, all the goals, the vision, everything. And if you are not supported the way you're supposed to, then all that passion and all of that is for naught. You know, and so I had to find a way to limit my expectations very early and to understand that it's, you know, not just about what you, the secretary, want and the mandate you're given from your administration and you know, and understand that we're human beings and everybody's motivation is going to be different. You have to also understand what leadership means, and by leading by that example. So for instance, you know, people say it all the time, very energetic, very sprightly, very out there. And I have to understand that everybody could probably handle all that energy, right?
And then when you look at the same thing as well.
And when you look around in a room, you see different personalities. Some persons don't speak, they act more. Some persons speak more than they act, right? You have some persons, they need that prodding, they need that motivation, that self-assurance and all of that to push them towards. You have some persons, from the time you say, this is what we're doing, they're ready to roll. And so being in a leadership position, I had to understand my heads very early and understand what they all brought to the table. And understand that as leader, I had to, one, lead from the front and know when to also lead from the back. Know when to stand side by side with the technocrats in my division and have them give me guidance because, of course, I've never been a secretary before, right? And then I also had to use the institutional knowledge I had as a teacher and being, you know, on the ground before I am have been placed in this position and understanding what it felt to be there looking in. And now that I'm here, understanding the dynamics behind the scenes. And therefore, I, as secretary, had to push persons who probably didn't feel as motivated towards the goal and let them understand, listen, at the end of the day, secretaries who has to face the music whenever this does not go the way it's supposed to. And so I want us as a division to win. You want to win. You don't want September. I mean, who would sit down and look at something crumbling around them and not do whatever you have to do, you know, legally, of course, to ensure that the thing succeeds. No one, especially someone who has been actually a part of the neglect and feeling as if, you know, you were not given that attention. So, I mean, as again I said, as secretary, I did what I could do based on the responsibilities given to me. And the media, jumping out into the media, let me tell you something, Candice, the type of person I am, because I have already been through a scenario, I went out there in front and placed the expectations in the public space and was disappointed myself. I'm very cautious now. I'm very cautious by what I put out there, especially when I know parts of the process I am not responsible for. And so I have really and truly, before this period here, let's say for 2 or 3 weeks, just put my shoulders to the wheel, especially with the time limits and deadlines upon us as a division, and just try to make the thing work. Try to get, you know, pull back all the delays and all the challenges and just really get into the thing and ensure that we can open all of 57 schools. It did not happen with 2 schools on Monday. Speyside High School, Sunday night again. You're thinking that, and that is what happens when you don't run out those gates early.
Because yes,
right?
we get that criticism too, that release came in the dead of the night.
And that
so
is
we knew
because,
about Scarborough Sec,
yes, and that
yeah.
release came in the dead of the night, Candice and Tobago, obviously because that decision only was made at that time. Yeah. I mean, you want to be able to notify your stakeholders early enough. And again, the challenges we had to do a thorough assessment before Friday. You want to go to the press, and if you're making an announcement where there are going to be some disappointments, you want to make that announcement and get it over and done with. You don't want to make an announcement on Friday and then Saturday another and so on, right? And with Speyside High School and with all the schools in Tobago, because again, we only treated with the high priority areas throughout the term, and I was very clear. I made it a point. We are not finished. We didn't deal with the what we would call the low and mid priority areas. Those can be dealt with on the weekends. We can even put some of those for the December break. High priority. And so, again, this is what happens with construction. You're going to get one thing done, right? You're looking at something. Let's deal with this. This is high priority. And while dealing with that, another issue arises. If it's not high priority, you try, you know, to find a way once it does not affect the health and safety of the users of the plant. But we went into Speyside High School, realized, listen, we have an area that we still need to deal with the under ceiling.
When did that information come to light in terms of the
Speyside High School?
Yes.
At 8 p.m. on Sunday night.
So not before?
No, not before. So what happened is at 8 p.m. on Sunday night, we had Speyside High School's washrooms, male and female. A few of the washrooms didn't have doors. The cubicles didn't have doors, right? They fell off, and, you know, to retrofit and so on, we decided that that would be dealt with. The contractor went to change the doors probably this Saturday, I think, right? Because it's, you know, you build something, then you're trying to fit that thing. And when he went in to change the doors or to add the doors on, the entire structure that has that separation into cubicles fell apart.
Oh.
So he spent all of Sunday restoring the separations. And then the doors, of course, again, retrofitting that was taking a while. You don't want students coming to school on Monday morning and unable to use washroom facilities and not be able to have that privacy. So the principal, Mr. Sylvester, school supervisor, assistant secretary, and project manager, we had a virtual meeting that same night. And, you know, of course, at that hour, you know, you're thinking, how do you let the users, the stakeholders, parents, students, and staff know at 8 that this is the situation? How can we fix this? Because, I mean, we made the announcement on Friday that only one school, and here you are on Sunday night with an emergency situation popping up. And the principal, of course, and that's the thing, we have had some principals who have been so patient, so understanding, some members of staff so patient and so understanding. And one of the things, and I think I should say it, persons who know me know me. Persons who know me understand that I myself, again, you know, I have been someone who experienced all the issues being faced in one of the schools that has most challenges. And so persons sat and we made collective decisions. Principal went off to staff and came back on the call, and we decided, listen, we have this avenue to reach parents at this hour. The division is gonna do the press release, we're gonna put it out there, try to push it through the media as early as possible. And because Monday was already a day that was kind of up in arms with, you know, teachers deciding to rest and reflect. We decided to just, you know, make it happen on that day. Again, works are still ongoing at Speyside High School, just as most of the schools on the island, but not priority and nothing to affect the health and safety. With the exception of one school that we had to deal with yesterday, and that is the St. Andrew's Anglican School, right? And so I'm bringing it here right now, St. Andrew's Anglican. Principal Nicole Henry and I have developed a really, really good relationship over the last 2 months, because I think Principal has grown to understand me. And that's the thing, again, you know, this judging a book by its cover, the proverbial don't judge a book by its cover.
And then we're going to get into some of those discussions in a
yeah,
little
and
bit.
so that principal and I, you see communication with your principals, and understanding what it means to actually be the person who is experiencing, you know, the poor conditions or the neglect or whatever that doesn't make your day go the way it's supposed to. That going on the ground and understanding the cries and hearing it and understanding it and being able to empathize with your stakeholders is something that I think has always worked for me. And so principal, when she went into school the Thursday and the Friday before, you know, you go back out and you meet with your staff, she noticed, and that happens once a compound is closed up. Most of the works that had to be completed at St. Andrews were external. And so when she opened up, she saw, you know, signs of mold. Now, one of the things we know as a division, because we go through it all the time, is that lack of regulation of the air conditioning unit. You know what happens, right? You have what we call condensation, and you know what happens with that. And so when she noticed it, again, very proactive principal, she let the division know, listen, I'm observing something. Let's see what we can do before the weekend so we can open on Monday. And so, of course, being very, very, very ready and eager to get in there and try to clean up before Monday. You don't want a case of another school having to not be able to open its doors. Our project implementation unit got the contractor to do a cleanup. And then the rains fell on Monday. All right? And then we noticed another issue on the external that seemed to have some water coming in a particular area of the school.
And then that points to another issue in the sense that sometimes you don't know some of those things
and that's
until...
the thing. And that's the thing. I always say that if you want to be able to identify an issue, have the weather conditions giving you that opportunity to notice the issues. You know, schools, again, they were close to 2 years. If there's no one there to identify or to observe something other than what you can come and visibly see, and there would be signs of deterioration, but you may not know that a roof has a challenge or whatever until the rains or the weather conditions permit. And so principal, again, you know, she reached out to us. You don't ever want to close a school as a principal. The division never wants to be able to close a school again. And so she reached out to us, and we went to her and we walked through and we saw some of the challenges. We realized, again, air conditioning units running all day, all night, temperature not regulated, and so on. That, you know, poses a challenge too. And we sat with the experts and we worked out a plan. We worked out a plan to have school reopened today. We worked out a plan to ensure that we can regulate temperature. We worked out a plan to treat with the moisture that's there. And again, these are aging facilities, Candice.
All right. So
and so
from St. Andrew's Anglican, are there any other schools?
We had Palatavere Anglican School experiencing some fluctuations in their electricity. All right, and so the project implementation unit went up to Palatavere and dealt with that issue. And that's the thing, Candice. Let me say now, we are going to have challenges throughout this first week. We may have some challenges next week. Responding to the challenges is what is going to make the difference. And being very transparent with the fact that we're having challenges. Again, I said, the school repair program did not go in the direction it was supposed to. Emergency repair works for priority areas is what had to be triggered. And therefore, we are going to experience some challenges, all right? Did we want to be in this position? Of course not. Who wants to be in this position? You want to be proud on the first day of school to, announce all 57 schools were opened. And again, if you have challenges, you treat with the challenges as they go, as they come up. One thing though, Candice, what I believe, and this is me being very out front here, we have not, as a Tobago House of Assembly, we have not spent enough time treating with routine maintenance of any of our facilities. I went to the Kendall Pool about 3 months ago with my division because, schools are reopening and then, of course, sporting activities are also going to resume. And I was mortified to see less than 6-year-old facility in this state it was. And so, again, indicative of the fact that as a Tobago House of Assembly, we need to do better when it comes to maintenance. Yes. And so the artisan team, they have one at community development. And that is an internal team that deals with the upgrades and general maintenance of your facilities. If you have to do major infrastructural works, then you bring your contractors in. And we announced it before, but of course, you're hiring staff, it's not budgeted for. You don't have space for them. You have to ensure you just don't bring people out and in a month you can't pay them. All right? And so we had to ensure that when we brought that team on, and again, we're at the end of a fiscal about to start anew, you want to be able to maintain your staff. The vote is it's there and you have the payments ready to be allocated from that particular vote. And so we had to be very responsible with bringing on that team. But the team is going to be in the division anytime now. We're just going through the HR processes. And so that team is there. And because we saw the challenges of this school repair program that did not actually go the way it's supposed to and had to trigger emergency repair works, you want a scenario where you have that routine maintenance throughout the term. And you're not just waiting on a July, August to run out to your schools and try to do everything in 8 weeks. Even if we had started at the beginning of that July, August, you still, if you look at previous years, you still always run the risk of weather being disruptive. You end up running out of material. A lot of the contractors have to send to Trinidad to get, the materials required. And so on, you have many challenges that would always pop up. The management of it is what matters. Understanding that it's not going in the direction you want it to and being able to have an alternative plan is also very important. And I think that persons saw an extra kind of energy and activity on the ground within the last 2 weeks. Yes. And that caused many persons to think that the program, in its true sense, had only just begun. And what was there was emergency repair works being triggered, right? And so you never want to go through an experience as negative as this. Again, you learn some lessons as well. You take note. You have your debriefing with your staff. You look at what went wrong and how we can improve. And the thing is a learning process. I have only been in this position for 9 months. I have learned a lot. I also understand that as secretary, you also have to listen to your technocrats. You also have to be responsible enough to know when to pull them up and point out what's not going in the direction you expect it to go, and being instructive as well with that, and to be able to lean on your executive council and sometimes even to listen to the constructive criticism in this space. And there is a difference between constructive criticism and what I would call personal attacks. All right?
And I'm gonna just pause there for a bit because I think we just need to take a short break.
Yeah, no problem.
And when we come back, we're gonna get into some of those issues that have been coming up in the midst of all of the educational stuff that needs to be done.
No problem.
All right, so viewers, so just bear with us for just a couple minutes, and we'll be right back with our conversation with Secretary of Education, Research and Technology, Zarisha Hackett.
I love how you're moving your ways.
Entertainment. Yes, we're bringing it to you. Tobago updates. It's all about the new entertainment show, the VIP experience, hosted by your boy Snoopy. Tune in every Wednesday from 8 p.m. and on Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. We're bringing to you the best Tobago has to offer. We're showcasing interviews, music, and everything that is fun. So join me on Tobago updates for the VIP experience. Yeah, man.
Like about to overload. Watch them sexy Tobago woman. Beauty from head to toes in the sun. Skin too don't need no lotion.
Life, the concert.
Says our destiny.
Friday, 23rd September.
The night before Republic Day.
She says our destiny to get next to me.
At the concert capital, the Queen's Park Savannah.
Life, the concert. Mavado and his full band.
It's a different type of thing down there. And we party till we drop down there. With a lot of pretty girls down there. Down in Tobago. I said I can't wait for Tobago in October.
Tobago updates. Good morning, Tobago.
All right, and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago, and we are continuing our conversation with Secretary of Education, Research and Technology, Zorisha Hackett. Now, one of the reasons why she's also on with us is to talk about women in politics. Now, in the last segment, we went into detail as to what was happening in terms of the school repair program, because, of course, I mean, we needed to bring all those details to light, and we needed to give her the chance to respond to a lot of the questions and the complaints and the criticisms that were in the public space, and to perhaps give the public an insight as to what happens in the division within the public service to make these things a reality, to be able to initiate the school repair program. So, of course, if you missed that part, if you're just joining and you missed that part, you can always go back and re-listen to it. All right? Yeah. So now we're going to get into a little bit about, just women in politics. And Ms. Hackett has been, let me say, one of the most condemned, most criticized women in politics for this administration. So, I mean, there's been a lot of comments about you. Some from fake profiles.
But you said most condemned and so on, but there's also very, very positive, very, very positive responses in this space too. So, I mean, you give some, you lose some. You win some, you lose some. You give,
so, I mean, there's been a lot of people saying some pretty demeaning things about you. Okay. And then I want to know from your perspective, how do you deal with those comments that are coming to you?
So, Candace, since I've known myself, I have always been the subject of much criticism, subject of much verbal, what word should I use? This has been my life. In high school, I didn't have a lot of female friends. I was more line with the fellas, kind of girl.
Kind of a tomboy.
Well, wasn't really tomboy. I've never been a tomboy. But I just learned very early that, some persons just have an extra kind of spotlight on them. I don't know where it came from. My sister has been my best friend. All right? And I just learned very early to keep my circle small. And from the day I was announced by now Chief Secretary Fali Chavez-Augustin as the candidate for former seat Plymouth Golden Lane, persons who the day before would have been coming to me for advice, asking me how to get this done, asking me how to deal with this, just persons who would have, persons who were in this space and just I considered, really cool with, suddenly made a 180, with me, and I just kind of had to thicken my skin. The immediate attacks became she's just about outfit, not output kind of energy.
There's been a lot of comments about your fashion.
Yeah, I mean, Candice, anybody who knows me knows this is how I've always been. I mean, this is me. It is me. I was making a joke with a colleague of mine the other day, and I said I was actually able to just pull back out the clothes I was a teacher and wear a secretary. You know what I mean? This is me. And I think that it's unfortunate that persons can use someone's personality, who they are, against them. You know, you want to call me out for the fact that, you know, in less than a year, I wasn't able to produce much tangibles in the division, but also find a way to compare that to how much we have been able to do in less than a year. We have ECC teachers who are short-term for almost 4 or 5 years, about to be regularized. That announcement is going to be made probably by next week. Worked all July, August, getting them, so we don't have these persons in this space.
And this is the first time we're hearing about this.
Yeah, yes.
On Tobago updates people.
Yeah, worked hard as a division all July, August. We had a scenario where about, say, let's May or June, persons were in the space complaining that as short-term employees, they don't get a salary July, August. You know, if they're not in school for a particular day, they're not entitled to sick leave and so on. And for the first time, these teachers are going to be given contracts, and the entire ECC system has been organized in such a way where we have regularization, persons having that job security and stability of tenure.
And that's an issue that's been close to your heart as someone who has experienced it.
Of course, Candice. I mean, being a contract teacher myself and not knowing I was a contract teacher until 6 years after the fact. So I understand what it means to have lack of job security. And so we have so much to be proud of as a division. But again, you know, in this space, the measurables are what people can see. And so for me, most of the areas that we've made some headway are the areas you can't see. All right? So again, the intangibles. And the school repair program, this is a major program. And so something like this is going to call for that public scrutiny and criticism. And I get that. As a matter of fact, the person I am, when the criticisms are piled on like that, that's when you see me work more. Because I've always been that individual, back against the wall, push, always. Give me that challenge and let me see that, you know, this is what is expected of me in the public space, and so let me show up and show out, you know. But when it comes to fashion and clothes, and I actually got, I got a big surprise about 2 weeks ago. I was in Trinidad and I was invited to a space, you know, come and see what we're doing. And we know you have an eye for fashion and all of that. Come and see what we're doing here. And when I went into this studio thinking that I was there to give some, you know, advice from the outside looking in and, you know, what people would expect, there was a costume with my name on it. Wow. Listen, yes. This is and I'm like, listen, bucket list. I never, you know, modeled anything. I have never, you know, done a queen show or anything. And so I was like, you know what, this is different. And we're pushing the Tobago Carnival. You know, let me probably be one of the persons to say, you know, I did something I never did before. And so I put on a carnival costume. And we have ministers and secretaries in this space, you know, playing mass all the time and so on. And this was a first to me. Let me put a costume. And to use the very notion that I was in a carnival costume, something that is true to occult. Yeah, I mean, not everybody is a carnival person. But if I am a carnival person and I've never placed a costume on my body, and I put the costume on and I'm there promoting the carnival, you know, that, circulating that, this is what she was doing. That's why she couldn't, I don't know, put on a hard hat and go out on a school and put on a galvanized. I don't know. But the comments, you know, and you're seeing the pictures posted up for something that I'm actually like, this was actually something that if you probably paid me $1 million to do it a year or so ago, I would not have done it. And this may have been the moment somebody may have not done it because you're in the politics and I did it. Right?
Do you think that, you know, because of your love for fashion and, you know, that just being Candice, a natural part of it,
second nature. I don't even have to think about it. I do my own hair. I did my hair this morning. Right?
But do you think that attracts a greater level of criticism from people who expect a policymaker to be fit into a certain mold?
But Candice, let me tell you, what people are seeing here, right, is also my work ethic, you know. And I think that the judgment came too early, all right? I think that, and again, I'm not upset about it because this is just grounding me in what I know I need to do, right? Okay, so I got all the criticisms before January 25th, and when everybody was making noise and all over the place doing whatever, I was on the ground encouraging persons to give me the opportunity to show what it means to be, you understand? To be a different type of leader. And I won that election. And then December the 6th came, again, noises in the space and the same criticisms. Just fashion, all she's doing is dressing up and so on. And so while they're pushing that narrative there, I am on the ground with the people, pushing and working. And again, another election won. And so this 4 years to me, because I tell people, you don't come in here to get old and gray. I could decide by 2025, 2026, listen, I am seeing someone else in the district who I can pass the baton on. And I hear people saying all the time, you have to say anything for your, what do they call it? Your pension and whatever. Listen, I, as a person, I understand the sacrifices you make as a politician. Yes. My daughter, the older one, is in 5th form. I have a second daughter, right? And I've missed a lot of their lives because I'm in the politics. And for me, you come in, you make a difference, and you make your exit. Succession planning is definitely important. And so I've started pushing that narrative and pushing that on the ground in my district. And the respect I give my district and love I give my district, I believe that you don't have to sit in this seat to be able to make a difference. I was actually making a difference before. And so being an assemblyman and even a secretary doesn't make me who I am. And therefore, you know, when people call me out for the dress and so on, I'm like, listen, if you think the externals is what makes me me, give me an opportunity to really shine. Give me an opportunity to show you who I really am. I tell people all the time, I'm a perfectionist. If you have a conversation
well, you can certainly see it in the way you dress.
If you have a conversation with my staff, they're going to say, she's so annoying. She will come into this office. And if, you know what I mean? And that is how I am. And so it can't just be reflected in your dress. It has to be reflected in your work ethic. But Candice, I believe that in 9 months, with all the passion and all the energy and all the excitement to get things done, you again, and it goes back to that being a strong leader and understanding how the team dynamics work. All right? We have a new administrator in the division. She started on Monday. I actually worked with her when I took the division to court. She was the administrator. And, you know, even in that, you know, you have a standoff there. This is an employee taking an employer to court. She was so professional. She guided me, right? And I so much respect her. Good morning, Mrs. Diane Baker Henry, and thank you for coming to the division, or returning to the division. And she's back with us. And, you know, I told her yesterday when we met, full circle we've all come.
Yes.
Orlando Kerr was Tobago officer. Yeah. Tutor Tobago officer. I remember standing in front of that division with Orlando Kerr, protesting for some of the things, you know, that we're here now trying to fix. Right? And now to have the administrator, one that I really respect, back at the division, you know, to me, this is giving me this sign of only good things to come. All right? We had an administrator who was a bit newer in this space. She came to the division from the Division of Health, Wellness and Social Protection. And right before that, she was at the Division of Settlements. So she moved 3 times in less than a year. And so for any administrator, and if you're new, she was acting administrator. If you're new, you know, settling into a division after moving from one and moving from another.
Challenging.
Yes, very challenging. And having a new secretary and a new administrator in this space. And so somebody needed to have the experience, right? But we really did have some challenges. And I had to write to administrator many times. We had to meet and, you know, talk about the issues and so on. But I had to keep pushing the point of, listen, the public is not going to be interested in whether administrator didn't do or whether secretary wrote 1 million letters. The schools are going to open, and this is going to be my first stint as secretary with a school repair program. And although my signature is not on any of these documents at all, it's administrator and whoever else, procurement and so on. The face of the division is the secretary. And so secretary has to stand up and take on that leadership role in the way she can. All right? And so me, Candice, I am going to be me. If persons have a difficulty, challenge, issue, they would have to grow used to it, grow used to me. I am not going to change who I am. I am very outgoing. I've always been very have an eye for fashion, for hair. That's me, all right? And so, again, you're not changing for persons. What you have to do is deliver. And I think one of the ways for me to definitely shut the noise down, just as I did on the 25th of January and on the 6th of December, is to deliver. And when I start to deliver, I hope these same critics can be objective enough, you know, and true to themselves to say, listen, she is delivering. but you don't hear them when the delivery is to be had. You don't. You
and
hear
there are
them.
some deliveries
Of
to come
course.
in
And
the near
listen,
future.
we're going to have another mandate Monday very soon, probably before the end of September. Chief Secretary would make an announcement soon. And when that mandate Monday comes, and I proudly stand in front of my division to express what we were able to achieve, and of course, to point out the shortcomings, as I always do. I hope these same critics, you know, can be man or woman enough, be professional enough to also say, yes, she did deliver, you know, and not only just use the opportunities to personally attack. All right? You know, Candice, sometimes I wonder, I look at it, and sometimes I say, you know, the attacks when they come, because other women face the attacks every now and again. Some don't. I don't know if it's because I'm so out there.
And I mean, that was going to be my next question.
Yeah.
I mean, is it because that you are very out there?
But Candice, let me tell you,
being a woman and all of that, is that just that perfect recipe to attract a lot of these criticisms and attacks?
Yeah. Candice, let me tell you, you see, probably if I was groomed to be a politician, I probably was in some youth league, and then I joined some women's league, and then I went and did some type of political science, and I rubbed shoulders with politicians, and it was always my aspiration. Then who knows, probably somebody would have groomed me, get married by a particular age, don't have two children with two different dads, ensure that you do this and ensure that you do that, don't wear a carnival costume. They probably would have been a prescription for my life. Candice, I was just a teacher. Always wanted to be a teacher. At one point in time, I wanted to be a lawyer, right? But teaching was always my passion. And I grew so, the disillusionment and the disappointment of, you know, what was happening in this space. So many contract teachers and so on. And I just started questioning myself, is there more for me? Probably it's time for me to do something else. And then ended up here. I started writing a book, you know, how I accidentally became a politician. And the reason for that is because, as I said, I didn't sit down somewhere hoping and praying. And, you know, most of these young ladies, you see in the space calling me out and bringing these attacks. They have political aspirations. They do. Many of them do, or they have persons who do have. And it, you know, it did not happen for them. And so instead of looking at it like if I were, you know, if I were in her shoes and how difficult the attacks are coming. And if you ask them in their heart of hearts, many of them wish they were in this position. And for me, I didn't come here to become a career politician. I say it all the time, all the time. And, you know, you even hear things like the assistant secretary should be the secretary and the secretary.
Yes,
you know, yeah. And the thing about it is, however I'm asked to serve, I serve. My chief secretary selected me as the Secretary of Education, Research and Technology, and until such time, I am going to serve to the best of my ability. If in the morning he decides he wants to just have me, you know, revert to being an assemblyman only, I serve. As a matter of fact, in that 11 months, when I was assemblyman of Plymouth Golden Lane, I talk about it all the time, the challenge of being an assemblyman and a secretary at the same time. You have two offices to manage, right? You have two groups of persons to treat with. And you have that on the ground, being very rootsy and being with your people and understanding the bread and butter issues and the day-to-day challenges. And then you have the diplomatic issues then to treat with. And the fact that you're in this space where you take charge of a division. And some of my best days are spent in my district office, hearing the cries of the people, coming up with solutions of how to deal with their day-to-day issues, you know? And then so you have these two roles to play. And I thoroughly enjoyed my 11 months. It was challenging, of course. You know, that 6-6 period was one of great struggle, great challenge. But I thoroughly enjoyed that. And so when you're called to serve the trappings of secretary, I mean, what was I before secretary?
How do we go about now? You know, I mean, because, I mean, it is clear that because you're a woman and because you're very feminine in terms of your fashion and all those things, it makes you a target for a lot of these attacks. How do we then, you know, go about changing some of our changing the mindset within our society to be at least be more open to a woman just being a woman?
Well, let me tell you, one of the things I've been doing is pushing my daughters to be very confident, right? And not cocky, and not, you know, egoistical, confident in who you are, and being true to yourself. So, you know, God bless me with 2 daughters. And so I have to, on a day-to-day basis, demonstrate to them what it means to be able to walk in your truth and to be so self-assured that, just as my grandmother always said, it's water and duck's back, you know. And I understand in a small space such as this one. If we were in a larger country, I would be so insignificant to persons. 60,000 plus persons, some persons stand out for different things, right? And I've always had to deal with this, as I said. Always, everything, hair, clothes, shoes, material things, you know. And the persons who know me. And persons who meet me and get to know me, you know, one of the first things they say, I heard you were so stuck up. I heard you were so, you understand?
Yes.
Wow. People are always taken aback when they get to know me. And a lot of persons too, they would come to me privately. You know, it's just the politics, right? You know, we just have to do this because, it's nothing, right? It's nothing. And then still go in the space and, you know. But Candice, I've grown so accustomed to it now that, and I think it strengthens me. It keeps me focused on the task at hand. I'm actually pursuing another master degree at the moment, an MSc in Strategic Leadership and Innovation with the University of the West Indies. And so my plate is very full right now. And that's it, upward mobility for me. I am in a position now where I have to lead by example. And so education is lifelong. And I have, you know, spoken to my staff and I told them, you can't be working here with me and you are not pushing yourself in the direction too for academic success. And so they've all started something. Persons went all the way back to CXC. Some persons are trying to now get, you know, that math and that English, working in the division of education. You have to be able to demonstrate that progression from one stage to another. And not everybody's going to have a PhD, but you should understand that with life, that actual cumulative stance of having that academic progression is truly important. And so again, in this position, I have learned to just roll with the punches and to take it as it comes, to take it in grace, to be able to still remain truly who I am, to set that example for my daughters, to be able to be very liberal at best, to not live and stay within the box society has placed on who a woman should be or what she should be, especially in a public being a public figure. And, you know, I have just been trying to really make a difference in the Tobago space. And education is one of the divisions, again, as I said, so many stakeholders involved. And once something goes wrong, you know, the outcry is louder. And again, being on the other side, I always knew that this would have been a difficult division to try to manage. And we went out there on the campaign trail with the mantra, let me fix this. And so obviously you're going to have persons asking, when is the fixing going to happen?
Yes,
but
because
with some
divisions,
that's
a lot of the comments that we're getting.
Right. And with this division, the fixing is going to take some time, and admittedly so. And again, a lot of it is invisible. So we're probably in the division of settlements. You can show that you have 2 houses, or you can, you understand, with us, the academic improvement is one of the deliverables, but it's not something you can hold and see with your eyes, right?
And then we have a lot of challenges right now because it's kind of hard to even compare it to previous years.
Right.
Because we're coming out of a pandemic.
And again, I was about to say that.
Challenge.
You know, assuming office right after the pandemic and with all the learning loss that would have occurred. And then we definitely had the challenges of persons now resuming to face-to-face, and us as a division having to get in there and understand, listen, this is not business as usual.
And then you have to change your strategies.
Right, I was about to say that. And we have to get in there now with a strategic direction and understand how to integrate even the technology, right, in day-to-day learning. And so a lot of what has to happen is not just infrastructural. And I think as a division, we spend so much time dealing with the outing of the fires and everything that's tangible, the things you can see, right? All the construction works, and we build the school, but it's time for us to buckle down as a decision and get some policy areas in. To have the strategic plan, which the division did not have for about 13 years. Imagine that. You had secretary after secretary just coming in and getting buildings built, getting infrastructural works done, but not any real policy directives to guide the division and to understand that with change comes a renewed spirit and energy in even your vision, your mission, the goals of the division. And so it is not going to be easy. I always knew it would not have been easy. And I am up for the challenge. Again, when the criticisms come, I use them. Constructive criticisms, though. Once it's personal, you know, totally, yeah, immune to it. And I don't even pay it any mind. But I am learning, I'm growing. I have to look at the things that I want for other persons too, and also limit those expectations, because everybody is not me. And everybody may not have that energy and that passion. But you have to find a way to motivate and inspire. And that is what I have been trying to do, and trying to get into the hearts and minds of my colleagues, of the persons I work with, my DIRTech team, and having them understand this is how your secretary is. Your secretary just wants us to deliver. The secretary wants us to win.
And because there's a public of Tobago that's looking
and right, of
very,
course.
very closely.
Of course.
With high expectations.
And I am saying, give us the opportunity to grow as a division, just as my other colleagues in other divisions. Hold us to that promise to fix it. Hold us. I love the fact that Tobagonians are holding us to that.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, you know, you want that. You want persons to hold you. You want that accountability and the transparency and that change in governance to be the order of the day. So, of course, hold us to it. But also understand that after 20 years, 21 years, it's going to take some time to really get the changes you want to see. It's going to be incremental at best, but hold us to it. Hold us to it.
Well, I mean, we are certainly going to hold you to it. We at Tobago Updates and as viewers, I mean, you heard earlier in our conversations that, you know, things like the short-term contracts for those teachers in the ECC,
listen,
that's going to,
that's
happening. So that's some of the things
and
that
not only the teachers, all the staff of that ECC, level of education, early childhood care and education centers, everything. We did a comprehensive. And listen, I want to say thank you to the members of staff of our HR unit. Listen, our HR unit takes a lot of licks, because persons, I mean, at the end of the day, the public service, we understand how it goes. And then when you, as a Tobago House of Assembly, employ persons on contracts, you know, you don't deliver with the gratuity, and even that ensuring the contracts are given in a timely manner. We've been taking licks. And I'm saying we, although I'm now inheriting the seat as secretary, right? We, as a Tobago House of Assembly, we've taken some licks as it relates to how we roll out these contracts and how we facilitate our members of staff and ensure that we deliver on our end of the bargain. But I want persons to know that we are working very hard. And again, you may not be able to see everything, but because this is a division where a lot happens in the background. So many persons are getting increments. So many persons are getting their gratuity. We're rolling out some policies never had before. The impact program was a success. I'm going to come with the technical advisor if you invite me again.
Oh, and we're certainly going to be inviting you because there's a lot to unpack.
And you're going to see that it was just not, and we don't really do short term in the division. We look at long term. We look at the measurables. We're data driven. You know, we just don't do things as we say as of apps, right? And so I'm going to bring technical advice, and we're going to take some time because we have to do some stakeholder consultations as well. How we roll this program out and how to ensure that learning loss that would occur. Because again, we have a standard 5 now who went through the pandemic too. They went standard 2 and 3, 3 and 4. And now in 5, they're back out face to face. And so we have to deal with them too. And then the students who are now off, the under 30s, right? And the under 50s, they're in secondary schools right now. It's not that we went through this program and we just throw them to the schools now and say, it's your issue now, deal with it. No. So the continuation of the program is important. And how we roll that out throughout, because we had cycle 1, and so we're moving towards the next cycle. And in a very comprehensive way. Stakeholder consultation is important, having the parents in, and of course the staff that would actually deal with them on a day-to-day basis have to be involved. So we have to come back and deal with impact and education in terms of policy, right? Persons don't talk about that. It's not sellable. It's not sensational. Having schools that you know, not open, those are the visibles and those are the things we focused on. But I really, really want us to start having the conversation beyond just, you know, infrastructure. And really having our education zone move. You know, we're 7th and 8th. We've been hovering between 7th and 8th position for a very long time. I want to see Tobago move from doldrums and up and out, where we can actually rival the zones that have been producing.
Yeah, we are definitely looking forward for those conversations.
Oh, and one more thing. So Minister Dolly and myself, we've been having some conversations.
And that's the Minister of Education?
Yes, Minister of Education. We've been having some really solid conversations, and that's another thing. I told myself, you get into this thing and you ensure that you reach out to persons, regardless of the political divide, and ensure that you're able to deliver to your division. So we've been having some conversations. Later on today, I'm going to have another conversation with her where we take apart the CSEC and CAPE results, right, in a comprehensive way. So not just the major statistics, we get into it and see, because of course, the 2 years made a difference. We saw it with SCA, and now we're going to see it with the CSEC CAPE.
And now it's all about the way forward.
So we're going to sit and comprehensively analyze, and as Minister and Secretary, make some solid decisions on the way forward, coming out of, you know, the global lockdown that we experienced in the last 2 years.
All right, so Ms. Larisha Hackett, now
wow.
We had a wonderful conversation this morning. I want to thank you for being on set with us, and we are definitely looking forward to these conversations, because education, there's a lot to impact. Like I said, that pandemic has done a lot of damage and has presented us with an even bigger challenge than the challenge that we had before.
Yeah, for sure. So, and we were already there, you know, not being able to rise above. And then now, as you said, pandemic just kind of placed us in a position where we really need to put our shoulders to the wheel and find a way to move up and out. So, yeah.
And I hope that you use the Tobago Updates platform to be the first modem through which you send all that information through. Right? I'm going to hold you to that. All right, viewers, now it's, like I said, it's been a wonderful time this morning, just getting into the meat of things, just trying to clear up those issues in terms of getting the schools prepared for reopening on Monday. And we heard from the
Scarborough Secondary School, and like is supposed to open on Monday. So
yes. So if you missed it, don't be afraid to go back and relook at the interview. All the details are there. Ms. Hackett was very, very comprehensive in her delivery this morning. All right. So I just want to thank you. Oh my goodness, it was a wonderful morning. So wonderful morning. Thank you for being here with us. And we would see you again tomorrow morning at 7 a.m.